Happy New Year. Welcome back to a brand new year and a brand new Sacred Union energy update here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for being here, for sticking with me all these years. If you are new to the channel, for being here. We are going to continue to build this community, and I am so grateful for every single one of you for how we have grown, how we have kind of explored this ascension journey together, gone through this ascension journey together. It's been a beautiful journey, a difficult journey, but all good things to come, right? All good things to come. So, I'm going to do some housekeeping first before we get into the reading. Make sure that you don't miss anything because I have a lot of announcements to make. First, make sure that you didn't miss any of the holiday readings that we posted. I will put all of those in the links of interest in the description box below because we had some really beautiful end of year readings. I think I did two-parter on Christmas. I did one for the new year, and we have the 2023 year ahead reading for the collective that is extremely powerful. I've been watching that back for the first time. Remember, the energy was very powerful, but I've been watching that back, and it is kind of surprising even me. So it's there's a lot, but that all of those readings are timeless. All of my readings are timeless. So don't, just because I'm updating more frequently or I'm doing more readings doesn't mean that that energy that I previously channeled doesn't resonate. It'll still resonate because remember, this is all a process. So if you missed anything, or if you want to review anything, or if you feel called to anything that we recently did, or any of my readings, do make sure that you are giving yourself a chance to go back because again, everything is timeless, and my readings tend to have layers in that they are activating and that you might receive something more than you did the first time that you heard it or the first time that you watched it. That goes for my personal readings as well as for the collective readings. Even myself, something will pop up and I'm called to watch it again, or I'm reminded of something, and there's a message in there for me that helps me along my soul growth journey as well. So make sure that you are trusting your intuition and letting your intuition guide you to whatever you want to receive. Speaking of the year aheads, the personal year ahead readings, I am working through those. I'm going to continue those this week. We are slowly but surely catching up. I needed last week as a break for myself, but we're slowly but surely catching up. Thank you to everybody who ordered. There's going to be available to order until January 15th, and then I'm closing those down. So they're available for booking until January 15th. I am having limited services for January and February, possibly even more into the future, possibly even for the remainder of spring, possibly even summer. I don't know. There are a lot of projects that I want to get done. I really want to focus on the collective readings and building the community. There's a lot that I want to do with my business, and unfortunately, taking the time to do the personal readings is taking time away from that. So in order to continue to be of service, build the community, and in a number of different ways, as well as to extend the resources that are available, the projects that I want to work on and provide to the community, I am going to be taking a step back from personal readings. I do have the Sacred Soul readings and the Sacred Love readings available. I have my Angel Aura energy healing available, and I have coaching packages available. Those will be the only readings available unless I have like a special reading like the year ahead, or I'll have a Valentine's special reading coming up in February. Those are going to be the only readings that I am doing for the foreseeable future. So my in-depth readings and channelings and things like that, they're going to be on the back burner for now. It's a way that I can still give you guys what you need, but I really need to focus on, growing the business and completing the projects that have been really, I've put on the back burner, and I don't want that on the back burner anymore. I want to really bring that to the forefront. So it's a way for me to have a nice energy exchange and still, not burn myself out, which I have a habit of doing. So I'm really trying to set boundaries for myself here. I really can't tell you how much I appreciate all of you as clients, or all of you as part of this community, but I need to have some kind of better balance, and so this is the only way that I know how to do that right now. So limited services. Speaking of collective readings and all the free resources that I provide, we're going to be introducing soul path readings, and I'm really, really excited about this. So soul path readings are going to be here on Susan Dawn Spiritual Connections. Again, over on my sister channel, we'll have more in-depth sacred channelings, but the soul path readings are going to be just like the Sacred Union energy updates, but they are more specific to your soul growth and ascension journey. So it doesn't necessarily have to be about connections. It can if that comes through, but if you're part of my Patreon subscriber community, and you listen to this reading is for you specific scenario readings, it's going to be kind of like that. We're just going to, channel every day, not every day, but we're just going to channel and see what comes out, and see what message wants to be said for the collective, for that day whenever I'm channeling, and as part of your soul growth journey. So not necessarily about connections. We'll still do Sacred Union energy updates. We'll still do the higher level ascension relationship energy updates. I'm also doing daily messages here on the channel, so make sure that you're watching the shorts as well. But I wanted to bring something new to the table as well, because we're kind of moving beyond, even though 2023 is a lot about connection and relationship. I wanted to really bring forth more guidance for your own journey as well. So soul path readings are coming. Make sure that you stay tuned. I might have the first one this week. I'm not sure yet. Depends on if I can get a handle on my schedule or not. It's the second day of the year and I'm ready, like, oh my God, because I'm trying to get everything done. Man. Okay. So those are the announcements. Let's get into the reading. I want to share a little bit about my personal experience. I felt a shift on New Year's Eve. It was very interesting. If you guys listened to the live stream on Friday for the new year, we did a channeling and chat. I shared a little bit about how I was really struggling last week. I mean, that's why I really have to balance myself out, because I'm part of this ascension journey with you guys. I'm walking my own sacred union path right along with you guys, and it's not the easiest thing, as you guys know. I like to be really upfront, really transparent, really raw and real with you guys, with what I'm experiencing as well. That's part of how I do my life and how I do my channeling and this channel. Because that's important to me. I don't ever want to act or have anybody feel like I'm above them. I'm right there with you guys. You guys are helping me as much as I'm helping you, and I'm very grateful for that opportunity to help you, but I'm right there with you. And so last week was extraordinarily difficult. That is an understatement. And I know from chatting with you guys during that live stream, you were experiencing that as well. For myself, I was moving through a lot of heartbreak around my connection, a lot of a feeling of betrayal, a lot of a feeling of grief, and just mourning my connection. I have been moving through that for the past 6 months or so, actually, for the past year. I've been doing a lot of healing work for the past year around my connection as a whole, around this journey as a whole. But for the past 6 months, ever since I went into an extended separation with my counterpart, this is the longest we've gone without talking. This is the longest that we've experienced physical separation, non communication, because we spent the majority of the past 5 years together. I mean, even living together at one point. And there was a lot of difficult moments that went along with that. There was a lot of triggering, there was a lot of projection. And so I have always kind of seen the separation as a gift so that we could heal what needed to be healed without continuing to trigger each other and hurt each other. And I've always felt that from my counterpart as well. Like, it's almost like his higher self was saying, this is a gift. Don't feel the lack of me. I always felt him saying, don't feel the lack of me. This is an opportunity for us to heal and come together in a healthier connection. I've always felt that. And you've heard me say how I feel that sacred union within, that there is no lack in our connection. But the physical, I'm human, and the physical sometimes feels a little bit different because it looks a little bit different. And when you focus on the physical nature of things, that's when you can kind of spiral into experiencing that lack and experiencing all those human emotions that come with it. I'm a huge proponent for grounded spirituality, where we don't bypass, where we don't ignore or deny anything that we're feeling as part of the human experience. I'm a huge proponent for that, because I feel like we are humans. Yes, we're having a spiritual experience, but we are humans. And part of our experience here through the ascension journey is understanding that we have the tools and the resources as part of our spiritual nature to bring that into human form. But we're human as well. And so part of that is feeling whatever it is that we need to feel. The past week or so, I've been doing fairly well, um, for the most part. But kind of like some teeter tottering, kind of some back and forth on emotions, where one day I'd be okay, and then the next day I'd feel just completely heartbroken for how things turned out and the way things look, and the ending of our connection that felt really harsh, and that even though I wanted to repair it, I was giving my counterpart space. But the longer the separation goes on, the more it feels like, well, it's over. Um, so I was this past week really feeling the grief of that, and allowing myself to feel the grief of that, allowing myself to accept that, and allowing myself to mourn. And something really shifted in me because I just kept crying and crying and crying and crying and just letting myself feel it, letting the emotion come up. I would be driving to the post office and just like that, just start crying and feeling it. But I let myself feel it without judging it. And I allowed myself to observe it without spiraling into a story of this is what's true. I knew that's not all there is. When you're on this ascension journey, you understand that what you're seeing with your physical eyes, what's being presented to you, is not all there is, because there are deeper levels, right? Ascension teaches us that there are higher perspectives. There's deeper levels. There's more energy behind things. It's not always what's presented to you. Um, but sometimes that illusion is very thick, and sometimes it's very difficult, and you have to feel the emotion of that experience. So underneath, I felt this sense of peace. Like no matter what, I was going to be okay. No matter what, it was going to be okay. But I was still allowing myself to grieve and feel the emotions. I was journaling. I was writing to my counterpart in my journal, just like allowing myself to explore what was it that I was really feeling. Why was I really feeling this way? What was being shown to me? What did I need to heal within myself? And so on New Year's, it was interesting. I didn't have a spectacular New Year's. It was just a kind of like a regular New Year's. New Year's is usually my favorite day, when I get all my favorite foods and my favorite drinks and my favorite movies and books and all this stuff. It's usually like my favorite day of reflection. But this year was a little bit different. I think it was because the week was very heavy for me. So I worked, and then I just basically watched movies with my family, and allowed myself just to feel whatever it was that I was feeling, which was present with my family and joy for being surrounded by people that I really love, but also really feeling like I was missing something too, like I was missing my counterpart. But I allowed myself just to sit with that energy. And when I was going to bed, I was asking myself questions. What is it that you really want? What is it that you really need? What is it that you really desire? Do you want the connection of the past? And my answer was no. And it was almost like I closed out a cycle of the past at the same time as I was creating a new future. I can't put into words the energy that shifted, or how it shifted, or the question that I actually posed myself, but I posed a question to myself, and it brought me a lot of clarity, and it like created a breakthrough within me. And I realized that part of what I had been mourning for the past year, 6 months or so, was the past. The past version of my connection with my counterpart, and the past version of myself, and the past version of him and who we were together. And part of that mourning the past meant I had to mourn the future of what I thought we would become, what I had hoped we would become, what I had wanted us to become, envisioning us as together and family, and the family that we were actually in our physical world creating. But again, there was a lot of unhealthiness that was there that I don't think either of us truly wanted. So there had to be some endings. There had to be some shifts. There had to be some changes, and we just couldn't sustain it. We just couldn't do it together. It felt like. So it's like I was mourning the past, but I was also mourning that past, the future that I had created from that past version of myself. And I began to understand as I did those Sacred Union updates, the previous ones over this past holiday week, that the wounded version of myself had healed, and that I was not that wounded version of myself as I was when I met him. And I can fully admit, as I've admitted to him many times, that I have never been perfect, have never tried to be perfect, but that I had been healing from my situations and my experiences as well. And so it's like that version of myself had to go through this healing journey, and we were going through this healing journey together. Um, but I was never truly able to acknowledge for myself how much I was healing. I have acknowledged how much I was healing, but I was never truly able to acknowledge um, in connection how much I was healing because of certain situations that came about. And so the separation, I really was forced and allowed myself to dive deep into allowing myself to become that new person, to really allow myself to transform and look at the past and heal the past and close out that chapter on the past. And so on New Year's, something really shifted within me where I began to feel safe within myself again. I began to feel that sense of security within myself again, and that had been coming back. I've been calling that back to me over the past several months, but it really anchored in that feeling of safety in a future connection, that feeling of safety in allowing myself to want love and be open to love. I didn't feel fully safe opening up to love. I didn't feel fully safe allowing myself to be really vulnerable and intimate because in the past, even with my connection, there was a lot of shutting down. Now, not because of him, but because of the wounded states of us, because of what we had experienced individually on our individual journeys that came up between us and kind of like prevented us from really being open and vulnerable with each other. So it's not him. Like he really is an amazing person, but it was our past, the wounded states of who we were that didn't allow us to become fully who we are. And we were healing a lot together and triggering a lot within each other, but we just couldn't sustain that healing connection. um, I feel like that separation had to happen so that we could really understand ourselves apart from each other and find ourselves and find our wholeness apart from each other. And what I understood on New Year's Eve was I began to look less at the past. It's almost like I can't look at the past anymore, but look towards the future. And it was like, what is it that you want? Who's the kind of man that you want? Who's the kind of partner that you want? What's the kind of relationship that you want to have? What do you want that to really look like? And for the first time, it wasn't looking back at who he was and looking back at the past of what we were, but allowing myself to really dream for myself. Who is that? What is that? What qualities and traits does that person really embody? Um, and allowing myself to open up to that and feel safe to open up to that. And it was simultaneously a letting go of him and a letting go of the connection and a creating for the future, dreaming about the future. In my heart, he's always going to be my person. Um, but there was a level and a layer of acceptance that I felt that I can't quite explain, but I feel more clear and I feel more at peace than I have in a very long time, since our separation, truly. But even more beyond that, I feel almost like safe in my own energy again, and I haven't felt that my whole life. Truly, my whole life, it feels like to really be anchored into my true authentic self and to feel safe as my true authentic self. And as I feel safe as my true authentic self, to be able to open up to that. And since my activation to ascension with my counterpart, that's the journey that I've been launched on, opening up more and more as my authentic self. But that old wounding was coming up to be healed, so I didn't always feel safe to do that, even though I always felt safe with him. But I didn't always feel safe in the world, so to speak. So it's been a journey where now I feel really just anchored into myself and anchored into that wholeness and allowing myself to just be open to whatever is meant for me. I lately, over the course of the past couple of days, I keep getting called to Rumi's quote, whatever you seek is seeking you. That you, especially as a divine feminine, it had been in my wounded state where I would always seek or try to take action on something, because that was my distorted feminine in my hyper masculine energy, because I had been so hyper independent where I felt like I had to take care of myself. I never allowed myself to receive. I never allowed myself to be fully cared for. That brings up a lot of emotion for me, because I never allowed myself to feel fully loved and embraced somebody caring for me. It always felt like it was conditional. If you do this for me, then I have to do this for you, and let me overgive and overgive and overgive so I prove my love to you. But again, New Year's, something really shifted where that was just cleared. And it's like, I understand. And this is what I've been working on my whole journey. So this is nothing new to myself. I've spoken about this to my divine counterpart, so that shouldn't be new to him. But it's what I've been working on allowing myself to receive more and more and opening up more and more to that. And I really allowed myself to dream and envision, what does that my relationship look like? What does that conscious man, my partner, look like? And it is the divine masculine energy. It is presence. It is somebody who can provide for me emotionally, stability, security, who can hold space for me and hold me. Um, it was a really beautiful revelation and realization, and I feel like it shifted a lot of energy for me, where I released my counterpart, I released the past version of us, I released our relationship, and I just am in this place of pure presence where I'm open to any possibility and any potential. I've talked a lot on this journey about, especially lately, about surrender and the difference between defeat and giving up and surrender, especially what divine surrender is. And it's not about giving up on love. It's not about turning your back on love and saying, oh, maybe love isn't meant for me. It's about knowing that you are love. And because you are love, love is meant for you. But it's about releasing that control of, and expectation of what you think that looks like, and just anchoring into a place of faith and trust and acceptance. Surrender is the place between trust and acceptance, where you feel that faith, you feel that knowing, and you just allow, especially for you divine feminines, you just allow. And I feel like I'm in that state of presence and just allowing the energy to flow through me and around me, and just knowing that whatever is meant for me is meant for me, and that the universe, there's a beautiful quote, I feel like I think it's from Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist. You've heard me talk about The Alchemist before. Been a huge metaphor for the sacred union journey, for the ascension journey. It's, when you decide something, the whole universe conspires in your favor to bring it to you. And it's like, for me, it's like finally accepting where I am in my journey, especially with my counterpart, and saying, you know what, this is what I want. And not attaching a name or an energy to it, but just saying, this is what I want. This is the love that I want to experience. Because this is the love that I know that I am inside, and I want to share that with somebody. And allowing myself to open up to that potential. Knowing in my heart, I can't escape that I feel that my person is my person, but that hook isn't there anymore. That attachment isn't there anymore. That that need isn't there anymore. I can love my person unconditionally. I can love him, and through whatever journey he decides that he wants to go on, because he has his choices too. I fully believe that he and I are twins, whatever you want to call that, whatever label you want to call that. I just use the term twin flame, twin soul, sacred counterpart, divine counterpart interchangeably, but I fully believe that we are those sacred partners. We've been catalysts for each other for our soul growth. We have learned so much for each other, and there has been so much love. I will never, ever deny the love that has been exchanged between us. But as far as the human experience and what's to be experienced as far as physical partnership, I feel like something shifted in me where I feel safe to be open to any potential. And it was really hard for me in the past to let go of that, to let go of him, but it just feels so anchored in and so present, and even beautiful to think of that divine partnership that I really am calling in, whether that's him or whether that's somebody else. You know, he has his choices that he makes as well on this journey. And I fully believe that we're making those choices at the highest level together. So for our soul growth. And so if his soul, if he decides that he needs someone else or something else, it's almost like there's this acceptance of that. And it's this allowance for the journey to unfold however it's meant to unfold. Um, Not looking too far ahead, but just allowing myself to look ahead and create. So I'm not looking at the past anymore, not holding on to the past, not holding on to him, not holding on to what we were, but allowing myself to look into the future or just be excited about the future. I'm so excited about the future now because I know that I'm in this energy of creating. I know that I'm in this energy of manifesting and magnetizing whatever is meant for me to me. In one of the zodiac readings for the Patreon, which is public, um, for the first month of January, because we're starting something new here, so I'm making that open for everybody. In one of the zodiac readings, they gave me the energy of the Three of Wands, or the metaphor of the Three of Wands. The Three of Wands is your ships coming in, right? But especially for the divine feminines, you know, you take the action that you're guided to make. You're not sitting in a castle just like waiting and sitting on your ass and just like, when's he coming? When's he coming? When's he coming? Like looking at the clock. No, you know, you get guided to, you know, go down to the shoreline and because you know that that ship is coming in intuitively, but you don't jump into the water and start swimming out to the ship to meet it, because that's grasping, that's control, that's reaching, right? No, you trust that the masculine on that ship is coming in to meet you. You trust the universe is, the universe being those ocean waves, is guiding them to shore. And you are just in your integrity. You are just in your self-empowerment. You are just in your embodiment of love, shining your light to show them where you are, and it's going to meet you there. It's going to meet you there. You take whatever action you need to for your life, for your soul path. But when it comes to, you know, your connection especially, allow yourself to be present and allow whatever is trying to reach you to reach you. And that means opening up. That means creating space for that to come in. I can't fully articulate the shift because I don't quite know myself what happened. But I definitely felt an energetic shift, and it just feels like excitement for the future. It feels excitement for creation, for whatever is to come. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to still experience grief and mourning, and because, you know, I have so much love for my person. But I am excited for the future, whether that's with him or whether that's with somebody else. There's an excitement there because I feel like I am not attracting in my wounded reflection anymore. And I'm speaking for myself. He, you know, there's his own responsibility too. Like, I'm not taking the whole responsibility. Divine feminines, don't take the whole responsibility for both counterparts. I'm just talking about my part of my journey, my part of the connection that I take responsibility for. And then counterpart takes responsibility for theirs as well. You know, there's a whole other side to that. There's the masculine side to that, of their wounding and their trauma, their projections, their blame, their, you know, mindsets that they had to resolve, that they had to heal and fix and you know, shift and all. They had to go through their transformation as well. I'm just speaking of my experience here as a divine feminine counterpart. So, yeah, it's been an interesting experience where it's just kind of like looking forward. Again, it's hard for me sometimes because it's like I feel so much that my person is my person. But there's also been this shift where I'm just looking forward, whatever that might mean. And that feels safe now to do that. I feel whole and safe within myself to be able to do that, where before I had a huge fear of, like, I was abandoning him, like I was abandoning myself. There was a huge fear, but it takes two people to create a connection, two people to create a relationship, and two people to want to build together. And that's truly what we're bringing in now. We're bringing in those conscious connections because we were moved out of that wounded state. All right, so let's see what's going on for this connection as a whole. For the Divine Masculine and Divine Feminine Collective. Let's see what's going on here. I'm gonna get some cards here as a whole. Hold on. Okay, I'm gonna get some energy here as a whole for the connection, for the union, and just see what's coming in. But when we're talking about Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine, take it for your connection, take it for your inner masculine and feminine, take it for the masculine and feminine energies on the planet as a whole. Take it however it resonates for you, however it really resonates for you in a peaceful state. So that you're not clinging, so that you're not attaching, so that you're not grasping for anything out of an energy of control, so that you are really in the energy of your own wholeness, where you are open to however that means for you, however that masculine and feminine energy resonates for you, and however that union resonates for you. Interesting. Eight of Pentacles and the Lovers. I'm not taking that, but interesting that we're starting out with that. So tell me, let me get a good shuffle here. I just used these for the Zodiac reading, so let me get a good shuffle here and clear some of the energy. Okay, and one more. So what we're going to do, I think, yes, okay, we're going to do the union energies, the connection as a whole. What do we need to know right now? Queen of Wands, Queen of Pentacles, Queen of Wands, and the Nine of Cups. This is you really standing in your energy. Okay, I'm getting two messages here. I feel like this is you really standing in your energy, and this is what came through in one of those readings. It was like, you're standing on the shoreline, especially if you're Divine Feminine. It's like you're wearing your crown. Don't jump into the water and get your clothes all wet and waterlogged and start swimming and creating chaos in the water and losing your crown and all this stuff. Stay in your integrity. Stay in your self-respect, your self-empowerment, your embodiment, your highest embodiment. You don't have to reach out for anything. I don't want to say it like that, but you don't have to grasp for anything, because that's just creating control. That's just creating it's ego, right? It's ego that fears the uncertainty of situations. But the more that we anchor into that faith, the more that we anchor into trust, the more that we anchor into our present state, the more that we can recognize that is all energy, and that energy is all flowing towards us as much as we're giving out that energy of love and compassion and embodiment. The more that we are standing in our energetic power, the more that the universe is meeting us in that beautiful exchange. The Queen of Wands is interesting here, because this really feels like feminine energy, and the Queen of Wands actually feels like masculine energy, which is interesting. I'll tell you why. You'd think it would be the King of Wands that comes out, but instead it's the Queen of Wands. And I feel like that's because the feminine energy within the masculine is rising. And the more that you as the feminine are standing in your stability, your groundedness, the more you're standing in your self-empowerment, the more you're standing in your feminine nurturing energy. I love the Queen of Pentacles energy. The more you're standing in this energy, the more the masculine energy, the feminine energy within the masculine is rising, so that the masculine can acknowledge the feminine. And the more that the masculine acknowledges the feminine, the more their masculine energy rises, the more they anchor into their core masculine energy. I know it seems so paradoxical. I've talked about this in the past. You have both energies within you. Part of your groundedness, Divine Feminines, and part of your presence is that you are balanced with your masculine and feminine energies. Especially when it comes to your emotions, especially when it comes to your self-expression, especially when it comes to just your embodiment. You're really balanced within both energies. That's your inner union. Divine Masculines are coming into their inner union as well. That's part of their transformation they've been experiencing. And the more that they acknowledge and honor the feminine energy within them and the feminine energy around them, where they might have only experienced distortions or seen through the distorted lens of feminine energy because maybe that's what they were taught, or maybe that's what they saw, or maybe that's what they experienced in previous connections or relationships. What's happening here is the more that they honor the feminine within them, the more they're actually anchoring into their core masculine energy. Because core masculine energy is honoring of the feminine. And core masculine energy is someone who is, well, I'm hearing passionate. They are very passionate, but in a very grounded, stable way, very present, disciplined within themselves. They have a high degree of integrity. They provide that space, that love, that container for the feminine. They give to the feminine. They love to give to the feminine. Feminine, her energy allows herself to receive. So it's interesting that it's the Queen of Wands here, because this is the feminine energy within the masculine. And what happens here is we have the Nine of Cups. I'm getting this energy of like alchemy and creation here. And this is kind of like what I was talking about. There's no coincidence that I share what I'm called to share, because it's all part of channeling. It's all part of this journey. It's this energy of what makes you satisfied, what brings you happiness, what brings you joy, and alchemizing anything that doesn't. Before the Nine of Cups, you have the Eight of Cups, and the Eight of Cups is a journey of self-discovery where you're walking away from things that don't serve you, walking away from old energies, old versions of yourself, walking away from those empty cups, things that just don't fulfill you. And here, there's like some alchemy that's going on. It just feels like there's some magic that's going on where you're really recognizing your creative powers. And so you are deciding for yourself, both of you deciding for yourselves, what actually lights me up, what actually brings me joy, what actually makes me happy, not out of obligation or expectation, and not because this is, what I thought I needed or thought I wanted, but what truly makes me happy. I feel like the Divine Feminine, like I shared with myself, is going through that experience as far as stepping out of her wounded state and really wanting to attract in that conscious connection. Divine Masculine is doing the same thing. Divine Masculine is asking themselves, what really makes me happy? What really makes me excited? What really lights me up? What am I really passionate about? But I feel like they're doing this in their entire life. It's not just when it comes to connection, but for their whole life, because that energy had been suppressed in the past, where they weren't allowed to be happy. They had to do things out of duty, out of obligation, or they had suppressed that energy to numb themselves out because for whatever reason, maybe they had experienced some kind of trauma or loss in the past. And so they shut that side of themselves down where they said, I don't have dreams, I don't have passions, I don't have desires, I don't allow myself that. But that was all out of fear. That was all numbing themselves out. So because the feminine energy is rising, they're allowing themselves to feel again and dream again. And the more that you dream and the more that you have those passions, and the more that you think about the future that you want to create and who you want to be in your highest embodiment, the more that you create, the more you are deciding for yourself what is true for you, what makes you happy, what makes you excited. And I'm also getting the message that you want each other. You want each other. I feel like you guys are on the same page and you don't even know it. You don't even know it. Maybe because there's no communication there. But yeah, Ten of Pentacles, you're on the same page. And with the Magician here, you're both manifesting each other and you don't even know it. You don't even know it because there's a very stubborn energy that's here as well. A very stubborn energy. There's been a lot of pride in this connection. You don't even know it, that you've been on the same page, manifesting the same thing, manifesting each other. There's a lot of love between these two. Tell me more about what's going on here. The Knight of Cups, the Ace of Wands, and the Page of Swords. Yeah, this came through in one of the Zodiac readings. I'm really glad that we're making that public because I feel like it's going to resonate with a lot of you. This came through in one of the Zodiac readings as well, where the Knight of Cups is really looking at themselves, perhaps for the first time, with an energy of love. You see how he's looking at that cup there? He's looking at almost like his reflection. But it's not just his reflection, it's love as a whole, looking at love as a whole. And perhaps seeing where love had always been with him, love had always been a part of him. Perhaps even with the Queen here, with the feminine energy here, how the feminine had always been loving him, but he hadn't been able to see love within himself, so he denied it. I'm hearing denied access. So he denied access to the feminine, to his heart. He guarded his heart. He put up a wall around his heart, pushed it away. But now that he's opening up to himself more and loving himself more, he's seeing his own reflection. This is very difficult for the divine masculine because of how the masculine had perhaps behaved in the past and treated love, perhaps even treated this connection. I'm hearing it's very difficult for the masculine because of that sense of pride, because of that stubborn energy. But I do feel like they're doing it and allowing themselves to do it, even forcing themselves to do it because they want to make a change for themselves. And they really do desire to make a change for this connection. I feel like there's this spark of passion that still exists between you two, and that has been kind of guiding you two, and that has been awakening you both to deeper aspects of yourself, wholeness within yourself. Remember when I said that on the highest level, you guys really are doing this together? You are really, because you are those twin souls, you really are doing this together. You're making those decisions together. It's just the human self that's not in alignment with the higher self that gets in the way. If we were to really trust our intuition and really embody our higher selves, then it would almost be like smooth sailing, right? But that's the shadow. That's that toxic energy of the past that we have to clear. That's the shadow that we have to integrate. We have to integrate our higher self and embody our highest self. So I feel like that's what's happening. It's almost like the human side of us, the free will side of us, truly gets a little bit in the way from listening to, causes discord. It causes a lot of discord within the connection. But that flame has always been lit between you two. The love has always been ignited between you two, has always existed between you two, and you're aware of this. You know this. You felt this when you were first meeting, when you were first activated to this journey, maybe even when you were first met as a whole. And so I really feel like there's this new awakening, there's this inspiration that's coming through, that's igniting a desire to speak to each other, igniting a desire to communicate. You might actually even be kind of looking at each other on social media or hearing about each other through the grapevine. However this applies, I do feel like there's still an attachment there, but it doesn't feel like a hook. It doesn't feel like a grasping. It's just the connection. What they're saying, so there's a difference between unhealthy attachment and healthy attachment. And the kind of attachment they're bringing us is that red string of fate. It's that you're always connected. This is who you are as sacred partners. This is who you are as divine counterparts. So there's a lot of, there's movement that's here, but I don't feel like the movement's in the physical yet. I feel like there's a lot of transforming of the energy here. Tell me more about what's going on. Yeah, there's a balancing out that wants to happen here. Where it felt like it was one-sided, no longer one-sided. I feel like for the divine feminines, you're calling in a partner that feels really reciprocal, that feels really exciting, that feels really balanced and healthy and conscious, where you're working together, where you're loving together, where you are really balanced and on the same page. Divine masculine is doing the same. You might actually be calling each other in and not even know it. Again, this could be the person that you always thought was your person that is transforming as you're transforming and you're calling each other in. This could be somebody else that is a divine masculine or conscious masculine energy, or somebody else that's a divine feminine, conscious feminine energy, and you're calling each other in and not even knowing it. It's going to play out for everybody in a number of different ways. So just allow yourself to be present and keep walking that path. But no matter what, your sacred union is here, and it's coming in, and you're aligning to it, and you're manifesting it, and you're on the same page. This is a beautiful connection. What is meant for you will never miss you. What is meant for you will always be meant for you. If there was a missed opportunity here, they're showing me the 5 of Cups and the 4 of Cups. If there's a missed opportunity here, there's an opportunity to come back around and right those wrongs. to turn this around and balance this out. Tell me more. We have the Empress, and I'm getting this birth energy, like you're birthing a new reality. You're birthing a new connection. You're birthing a new beginning here. This is fertile for a new beginning. You've both been conceiving this new beginning here, dreaming about it, wishing for it, wanting it, working on it, focused on it. Yeah, working on transforming for this healthy connection. We have the Nine of Pentacles, Death, and the Lovers. I feel like that's that path of individuation. It's the path that I've been on personally for the past 6 months or so, since my counterpart and I went to separation, where I learned so much more about myself. And I was able to heal because, again, we weren't kind of caught in that cycle of like, because we were apart, we couldn't blame or project onto each other, right? So we had to do that individual work. We had to go deep within. We had to dive deep. And for me, it was allowing myself to dive deeper emotionally than I had ever been. And I'd done a lot of work on this journey previously, but it allowed me to really dive deeper than I'd ever been into those shadows. And more importantly than that, to allow myself to see my light, which had always been hard for me. So it wasn't, I'd been working on my shadows throughout the course of my journey, but through the 6 months, I was allowing myself to really embrace myself and love myself and honor my light, which had always been really difficult for me to do, to accept love from others, just to accept love from the universe as a whole, to embrace that side of myself, because throughout my personal life, I had been so knocked down. So there's this journey of individuation. And again, I'm sharing my own personal experiences. The Divine Masculine's experience is going to be a little bit different because you're two sides of the same coin. You're approaching it from two different aspects, but it's still the same coin. Like, you still experience it from two different ways. You both experience the same core wounds. You both experience abandonment. You both experience betrayal. You both experience neglect or rejection. You both experience those core wounds. Your physical experiences, your human experiences, how that plays out is going to look a little bit different, but you experience the same thing. I've never understood that more than when I understood that I had certain experiences with my illness. My counterpart had certain experiences with the situation that he was in, and it was the same core wound. It was the same core wound. It brought about the same kind of trauma, just from different experiences, different understandings, different vantage points. That's who you are as twins. You run parallel to each other. The physical experiences might be different and look different, but underneath the surface, it's the same energy. It's the same core that you're healing, that you're working through, that you're experiencing. So I feel like there was this journey of individuation where you came into that wholeness with yourself, where you recognized yourself as one with yourself. And because of that, it's transforming, creating this transformation so that you can come into this lovers. We have the Nine of Pentacles, Death, and Lovers. I should have said that. So that you can meet yourself and meet your reflection without the wounded state anymore. There had to be an ending in order for this beginning to take place. And it's going to resonate with everybody a little bit differently. I just share my experience as an example for how that might look and how that might play out. But everybody's path is going to look a little bit different. So for me, it was like this separation led me closer and closer to this journey of myself, where there had to be this ending, so we weren't projecting onto each other, so that we can meet ourselves in that love and not the wounded state, so that we could see each other clearly as love for each other. And that's what you're doing with your counterpart. You're healing within yourself so that whatever conscious connection comes in, you heal and you see through the lens of love. And this isn't just with your counterpart. This isn't just in relationship. It's so that you see through the lens of love the whole world around you. You shift your perspective on the whole world and life experience, your whole soul experience around you. So that anybody that you meet, you're not looking at them through the wounded reflection and seeing the wounded reflection reflect back to you, your wounded nature reflect back to you. Strangers on the street where you might have had difficult encounters, if you look through the lens of compassion and love, you see that reflected back. something that really changed my perspective was really understanding people's wounded states as their wounded inner child. And so when somebody is holding like a temper tantrum or lashing out at me, like in a work environment or something, for example, I can have more compassion because I can see that that's their inner child that hadn't gotten their needs met. That's their inner child that had been abandoned. That's their inner child that had been rejected. Whatever it is, I'm able to hold more space and more compassion for that, because I'm able to look through the lens of love and not look through the wounded lens anymore, not look through the wounded self, because I had healed my abandonment, healed my rejection, healed my neglect, or whatever this was. I learned how to have my own needs met. So I'm able to hold space for others to do the same. That's not to say that I'm completely healed, obviously. Like, it keeps going. Like, the journey keeps going. I'm still, excavating a lot. but you reach a certain point in your journey where you have transformed enough that you've shifted consciousness enough, shifted frequencies enough, that you can react differently, you can engage differently, you can see through that different lens. That's the shift in consciousness. You have tools now, you have resources now, rather than your ego, that wounded state, that wounded child lashing out. You have tools now to help you better engage and care for yourself and others around you. That's this energy here. It's like you're no longer reflecting that wounded state anymore. Now you're loving each other in your wholeness. You're seeing through that lens of love, which is what you've always been. I call it soul sludge. I call it excavation, because that's what you're doing on this journey. You are excavating all that soul sludge. You're bringing up all that toxic energy, the trauma, the pain, the projection, the conditioning, the patterning, the beliefs, the indoctrination that you've experienced throughout your lifetime and past lifetimes as well. You're cultivating a new way of being. You're excavating the old and cultivating a new, more truthful, more authentic way of being, authentic to your soul self, not the ways of the world. That's what this is, because underneath the surface of your connection, there is and always has been love, only love. It was just all this other sludge and junk and trigger and trauma and crap that got in the way. And that's not to dismiss your experiences with trauma whatsoever. Those were real experiences. But now we go through the process of healing those experiences to come back to the love and to recognize that love has always been the undercurrent of your connection and the undercurrent of the world, the undercurrent of humanity. Love is the energy of the universe. It's just, we pile on top of that with so much pain and suffering. That is what we're alchemizing here. That is what we're transforming here. And you do that with your sacred partner. And here, you're coming to this place where you're recognizing that you want to do it with your sacred partner, that you can do it with your sacred partner. Okay. Let's get a couple of these. These are the same cards that I use for the zodiac readings, but I'm feeling it, so we're just going to go with it. What else do we need to know for these sacred partners, the sacred union? What else do we need to know today? We'll be back with a usual divine masculine, divine feminine, but I wanted to do it like this today because it felt more merged. It felt more like it was, this is how it wanted to come out, just as a general message. We have romance. Yeah, you're feeling that love for each other, respect, building that trust, building that respect, honoring each other. Remember when I said the divine masculine is honoring the feminine within them, honoring you as their counterpart, honoring the feminine energy in general, and that is what's helping them rise into their core masculine energy, to be able to take the lead, to be able to take direction for themselves, to be able to be a sense of authority within themselves, in their integrity, in their presence. That's because there's this respect that's coming through here that might not have been there in the past. And romance, remember, romance is an energy. It's how you express love. It's how you express love, especially with a relationship with a partner. And trust, exactly, that's exactly what I was feeling from that respect card, that trust energy. building, renewing that trust, building that bond, and feeling that sense of safety between you two. Fun as well. So bringing lightheartedness back into the connection, allowing yourself to enjoy the harmony, the compatibility of your connection, allowing yourself to enjoy the love of the connection. This has been a very intense experience and a very intense and difficult journey. But when you're experiencing a lot of harmony with each other, you experience a lot of fun together. You experienced a lot of, especially in the very beginning, that honeymoon stage, you experienced a lot of fun. You really enjoyed each other's company. That was the energy of love. And then all this stuff was triggered and came up to the surface to be healed, where you triggered each other, where you projected onto each other. That's what needed to be cleared. It's not the two of you. It's the stuff that came up between you. And so it's like what I'm seeing is two people facing each other and wanting to love each other, wanting to reach out to each other and have this joyous partnership. You've always wanted that, but all this toxic energy came up. But that's what you activated each other for. That's the purpose of this ascension journey, these sacred unions, is so that you can clear all of that, so that you can have a healthier connection, so that you can write a new template for what relationships are all about. Because old relationships are about codependencies and conditions, and let me prove my love to you, or you have to prove your love to me, or let me do this for you so you can do this for me, or like I scratch your back, you scratch mine, that kind of energy. Or I'll only love you if, or I'll only love you until, or whatever this was. Conditions, right? Conditions. Love in the past, relationship and connection in the past had been built on conditions. And so you're clearing all of that energy. You're clearing all of that toxicity and writing a new love story. You're writing a new love story. Because you know under the surface, all there is love for each other. And so bringing back that joy and that playfulness and that joking and that teasing and that fun and that honesty and that companionship and that intimacy and that vulnerability. Bringing it all back, because those are all elements of love, connection, relationship. There's a new cycle that's beginning here, I'm seeing. There's a new cycle that's beginning here. And you're both on the same page. You're both writing the same love story. But it's like you're writing it in separate books. Join together. Write one book. Write one book. All right. We're going to get, since we're doing the zodiac stuff, we're using the same cards as the zodiac readings. And I'll put the link to the Patreon in the description box so you guys can check that out. Let's see what else we need to know. Anything else we need to know for this connection? Please, Spirit. Anything else we need to know for this connection? We have the card boundaries. Oh my gosh. What's this? We have clarity and we have abundance. We have wisdom at the bottom of the deck as well. I'm getting the energy of love. There's just a lot of love here, because I'm seeing the swan card in my mind. So having those healthy boundaries for yourself, that's the healed state, not the wounded state. Having those healthy boundaries for yourself, having those healthy boundaries within your connection. Boundaries do not separate you from each other. It doesn't keep you out. It shows you how to love each other more. And all you want in a healthy connection is to learn how to love each other better, to love each other more, to work with each other, not against each other. That's what this energy is. And you're having a lot more clarity around what it is that you want, what it is that you don't want, what it is that you need, what it is that you desire. And that is bringing in, it's magnetizing to you that abundance. And part of that abundance is the harmony, the love, the peace, the joy within your connection. Abundant is just a fruitful energy, a very joyful energy. Beautiful. All right, they're stepping back, so we're going to step back and end it here. Again, we'll be back with Divine Masculine, Divine Feminine like we usually do. We're also going to have a soul path reading coming up soon, either this week or next week. So make sure that you stay tuned for that whenever that comes in. I'm sending you all so much love, so much light, and we'll see you soon. Bye.